All right, we are rolling. So, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you, man?
Living the dream, man. I'm on winter break from college. This is actually the first podcast I've done in, I think, like 2 months. I've just built up like a backlog of them forever. So I was like, hey, I'll put one out this week, or whatever. I haven't done much over break though for it, but when I go back in like 2 weeks, that's when we start regularly uploading again, hopefully, and getting more people on. But I know you wanted to be on the podcast, like right or a podcast right after I released the one with Saints Can Lie, which was the first
Yeah,
ever episode. And Jake was like, "Hey, my buddy Michael wants to be on a podcast. Maybe it could be on yours." And that's really how I reached out to you.
love those dudes. Yeah, I used to have a podcast back in like 2018. I would interview like local Dallas bands, but a lot of things went south of that podcast very quickly, and partnership things. Whenever you have multiple hands in the pot, it makes things kind of hard logistically.
Yeah. So band wise, did you? I know Fit for a King is also around Dallas. So is Polyphia for two big names. I don't know how close to Dallas Fit for a King is, but I know specifically Polyphia originated from Dallas.
Yeah, so Fit for a King, I think they came from Tyler, Texas originally. It's probably about oh god, maybe hour and a half from Dallas proper. But I mean, if you're, I live like 30 minutes from Dallas. I just say I'm from Dallas. Polyphia is
Yeah.
from a town called Plano, which is actually the town I'm in right now. I think they're from
Okay.
Plano. Yeah, I've
Did you
I've
ever
gotten to
see
do
him?
photos for both. Yeah, I've gotten to do photos for both those bands.
That's sick, dude. Recently too, or in the past?
So the Fit for a King was actually my first big band that I shot, and that was at the very beginning of this year on their Dark Path tour with Silent Planet, Avoid, and oh god, somebody else was there too. I think. Oh, I mean Threnody. Threnody is a local Dallas band. I got to do photos of them too. I love those guys. And then Polyphia, I got to shoot them at So What Fest.
That's sick. Tell me about So What Fest.
Dude, it was a dream. I grew up going to So What, and so funny story, I randomly found a publication that was just starting called Bummer Brews. I'll plug them. And just, like a pop punk style publication. Just wanted to cover all the pop punk bands up and coming. And in January, I applied for a photo pass for So What. And Mike Zemer, the founder of Third String, guy who runs that and like Furnace Fest and all those festivals, he was like, he was on Twitter and he was like, "Hey, just letting you guys know, if you're not applying with a publication, you're not going to get a photo pass unless you're hired by a band." And at this point, there weren't any local bands on the tour or on the show, and so I, in the matter of like 2 weeks, I found a publication that was just starting, thanks to my girlfriend, and I joined them, and I was like, "Hey, can I apply for So What?" And turns out that the girl that was running that publication, really cool with the people doing the photo passes for So What, and I was able to slide right in. But it was fun.
So you say thanks to your girlfriend. Like, did she know the person who made the publication?
She followed the person on Twitter, and about a week after me being like, "Man, I wish I could find a publication," she
Yeah.
was like, "Hey, this girl I follow on Twitter is starting this thing. You should hit her up."
That's sick, dude. The power of networking. So, like in college, I'm telling, like, as I'm a senior now, I always tell people, like, you're not paying for, at least in my experience, you're not paying for the education you get. You're paying for the people you're going to meet, the people you're going to network with, and hopefully potential job opportunities that you could get thrown your way. So
Yeah,
it's great to hear you're networking like that, even if in like a non-academic, setting. And that's like I feel how like a lot of the music industry is as well. And in your case, photography, like you got to go get in at SOA as a photographer for what you said, was it Fit or Polyphia?
oh, so I wasn't like shooting for them.
Oh, okay. Just
um
in general.
just photos of them. Yeah, I haven't. The only like kind of big band that I've gotten paid for shooting was Alpha Wolf earlier this year.
Oh, that's sick, dude.
Yeah, man, that was again networking. That was on Twitter. Um, but yeah. So for So What though, it was just I mean Saints Can Lie played it.
Yeah.
Their song Hate just kind of blew up on TikTok. So that was fun. I was in the photo pit, and then as soon as Hate started, I gave my friend my camera and started moshing at 12 p.m. when it was like 98 degrees outside.
Yeah. Oh, that was in Arlington, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I have a buddy down there that I went to community college with here in Iowa, and he moved down in Texas. He's like, I love the warm weather and everything, and he's down there. And I asked him like, hey, have you ever heard of Saints Can Lie? Or like the So What Festival? I asked him those two things. He hasn't heard of either. I'm like, well, Saints Can Lie is like a little metalcore band from around that area, and So What is literally in that town. He's like, oh, maybe that's what I heard. But yeah, no, it's super sick that how you're saying how their song "Hate" blew up on TikTok, and it was based off of, I want to say there's two TikToks. There's Demi Bagby, and then there was like a remix of like some old guy dancing in a nursing home that was like on beat to "Hate,"
yeah,
which is just stroke of luck, dude. That
dude.
was like, you have to think of all different things. I think I talked about this with them. I was like, you have to think of all the different things. Like, one, that video has to be created. Two, Jake has to know, or Jake has to be born. Hunter, all these people have to be born and know each other. Like, obviously, Jake and Hunter know each other because they're brothers. But then you gotta be friends with Bryce and John and make this song. And then it just somehow is on time with this old guy dancing. Or old person dancing. It's crazy.
It is wild. I remember as soon as they started posting about it, they hit me up and they were like, dude, Hate's blowing up right now on TikTok. And I saw the TikTok, and it was a workout TikTok. It was like, "Hey, what are you listening to?" And I've never heard somebody actually say they're listening to like metal or metalcore.
Yeah.
And so the one TikTok I see that has that, it has them listening to Saints, and I was like, "Oh, this is just the beginning." And then the other one that you're talking about with the like dancing group, that blew up, and just in time for So What as well. And then they got to ride kind of that high into opening for Crown the Empire. Dude, I love the guys at Saints Can Lie. I can talk about them all day.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
some of my best friends.
How long have you known them for?
Let's see. I've known, so shout out to Hunter. Hunter used to work for me at
Really?
whenever I was 19, I was the general manager of a Pizza Hut in my hometown, and it was a terrible job, terrible gig.
Yeah.
Like, I hated it.
Yeah.
A 19-year-old should not run an entire restaurant, but somehow they trusted me to do it.
Yeah.
But I ended up hiring Hunter because one of our other friends had already worked there. And so he recommended Hunter. And at the time, Hunter was this like nice, cool, calm, collected dude. I was like, "Oh, you're in a band." And he was like, "Yeah, it's just a band, Saints Can Lie. Like, we play in Dallas, da-da-da." And so I just became friends with him. And early on, this was probably 2016 whenever I met Hunter.
So this was after their first album was out.
It was, their first album was already recorded. I think it was right before they put out their first album.
I'm gonna check this on Spotify as you keep talking.
Yeah, I remember whenever they put out the album, I bought a copy at one of the shows that I went to. But that was 6 years ago now. Oh, geez.
Trial and Tribulation came out in 2016.
Oh my gosh!
So it could have been around that time.
Right,
yeah.
Yeah, I met them right before that album actually came out, and then I got to hear all about the recording process and all that.
That's so sick. That's exactly why I started this podcast, because I listen to music. I'm like, man, I just want to know what goes through their heads of like writing riffs and stuff.
Dude, yeah, man. And Hunter, you can get that dude. That dude can just like sit on the toilet and just rap out something amazing.
Yeah. As another guitarist, like, I always listen to, what is the bassist doing, what is the guitarist doing. Like, for me, I really like when a band allows a bassist to kind of breathe in the mix, so they kind of get their own little spots here and there to kind of be like, we're gonna isolate the bass track and kind of pronounce it, and everything's kind of muted, like just like a quick little bass break, and I love it, dude.
Wait, okay, so tell me, Kubla Khan, you know them?
I was actually about to go see them open for Knocked Loose when they came through Iowa back in April, but it was like around finals time, so I was like,
man,
yeah.
My photo pass got denied for that show, but I already had 2 tickets, so me and my girlfriend went, and she got in the pit and like got her stuff rocked, and I almost got in the pit, got my stuff rocked. Some dude almost landed on top of me. Man, that was the craziest crowd I've ever been in. Was Knocked Loose.
Yeah. Oh, and
dude. And then again, it's So What? Like.
Oh yeah. Did So What have crazy mosh pits, or do you think smaller venue, heavier metal concerts have heavier mosh pits?
Well, okay, so what this year was, or I guess last year, depending on when whoever listens to this. So what 2022 took place Labor Memorial Day weekend. So it's peak hot here. Like it was
Yeah.
100
Oh yeah.
degrees by like 1 p.m. And I remember the crowds were kind of thin pit wise just because of how hot it was. But I went to Soet back in 2015. I went 2015 and 16, I think. Is either 15, 16, 16, 17. I don't know. But those were crazy pits. But I would have to say that the smaller shows are the ones to go to.
Yeah, I've been to I think 10 total concerts this year. I've seen to start off it was Fit on tour. They came through Iowa. And then after that it was I the Breathers 10-year anniversary tour for one of their albums or both their albums. And I wanted to go see that one because me and my buddy were huge fans of Sleepwaker at the time, and that's actually the compliment or comment I gave Jake when I first heard, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, you really remind me of Hunter Courtright from Sleepwaker." And Sleepwaker recently disbanded, but at the time I heard of Saints Can Lie, so I was immediately like looking for the replacement to my favorite band, right? So
There we go.
yeah, so I'm like, Jake, you know, so that's what got me talking to Jake on Instagram, and yeah, so
Super nice guy.
yeah, oh yeah, I love Jake. I love all those. Jake and Bryce, those are the people I talk to the most. But John and Hunter, just as nice guys. But yeah, so yeah, I'd say the coolest band. I'd probably say the Eagles. I got to see them live, just for like an older band that has a lot of good hits. They were really good. My mom took me to that one, bless her heart. But one of my favorites for just energy wise, probably the Home Team from Washington. They're a pop punk band.
Dude, pop punk shows they either go hard or they are very soft. Like Movements came through earlier this year, and my girlfriend went, and she was telling me normally Dallas has like really good crowds, but apparently the crowd was just not it.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird because Movement, like all the crowd was really vibing because Movements is amazing,
Yeah.
but just like they brought hardcore. It was kind of like Movements went on that Knock Loose tour.
Yep.
So Movements then took out some hardcore bands like One Step Closer, Angel Dust, and a couple others I don't remember. And so like you had hardcore bands playing, and then there were all these like frail pop punk people that were like, "No, stop crowd surfing."
Stop stage diving. Everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I understand that. Like personally, I don't mosh pit. Like, and I actually went to a Great American Ghost. I don't know if you know them. They're kind of heavier metal. They came through, and it was their first headlining tour. And this was like a couple months or 2-3 months ago now. But I was just recording like this, and some dudes like throwing kicks in the mosh pit. My phone gets sent across the venue. I'm like, oh my,
Dude.
it was crazy. But everything's all good. I felt bad for the guy because my phone was okay. I'm like, at that point I don't care, right? Like it was a mistake. But he's like, I don't want to go back in the pit. I don't want to get someone hurt. I'm like, dude, just be more aware. You're fine.
Oh man, dude, Dallas crowds, you will are okay. Hold on, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, you will get your shit kicked in a Dallas pit. Like my catchphrase whenever a band comes through Dallas is I can't wait to get my teeth knocked out by some kid on his mom's insurance. Because like that's how the crowds are here. I went and saw Counterparts a few weeks ago.
That's a
Same
sick
thing.
band.
They opened they ended the show with Mass Grave of Saints, and that song starts out on a chorus. So I was like, okay, it's gonna be a little thing. As soon as that song started, I got pushed like 10 feet.
Yeah.
I love moshing, crowd surfing. I'm all about all of it.
Yeah, so what I've been telling people that don't listen to metal is sure the mosh pits look like a crazy crowd, and yeah, they're in crazy mode. But if you like actually get to like talk to them, like maybe after or before the concert, super nice people. Like, and as soon as a kid is at the concert, like someone brings their kid, that kid becomes adopted by everybody at the concert.
Yep.
And I love that. I love the fact that people are like so cautious of this kid. They're like, hey, let's get you crowd surfing, and just very safe about it. Like,
yeah,
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, there's a guy who his son went viral on TikTok.
I think he actually follows me. Yeah, Luke, the little mosh kid. Yeah.
Yeah, I see them at shows, and because he's a really big fan of Saints, and then Jake's other band, and so
Yeah,
like
well, that's nothing
I'm
for
always
you.
running. Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
I love Nothing for You. Their song Halfway Down is insanely hard.
I need to listen to them more. I've listened to a lot of Saints, not a lot of Nothing for You. Isn't John in that one too,
Yeah,
as the
John's in that one too.
guitarist? He's good.
Yeah. He just moved to guitar. He was bass, and then he moved to guitar because they had some lineup stuff happen.
Yeah, what I love seeing is, well, like John just posted that TikTok or whatever, the Merry Christmas
The
thing,
Merry
where he just
Christmas one.
run, and I'm like, John can scream, he can play bass, he can play
Oh
guitar. What can
man,
he not do?
whenever I was hanging out with the Saints boys while they were doing some stuff, I'm gonna be very careful what I say.
Yeah,
Whenever they were doing some stuff, I got to hear John's full capabilities, and that dude sounds just like Corey Taylor.
yeah, he is
Such
good,
a
man. And that was
Corey.
with him like running down the street screaming, dude.
Yeah.
I can't do that. Every time I try, I hurt my voice somehow. I'm still trying to learn though, but it's
Uh,
it's part of learning.
I suck at it. It's okay. I'm also trying
Yeah,
to learn. That's
yeah.
why I picked up a camera.
Hey, good for you, dude. I mean, so yeah, tell me about that. What got you into photography?
Yeah, well, so going back to like meeting Hunter, and Hunter loves when I tell this story. So back in like 2015, I would say the Dallas scene is definitely peaking again. Like the local scene is really blowing up again.
Now we're in
But
2015.
now it's getting back
Okay.
there. So in 2015 was like the peak though. This was right before legendary venues like The Door. I think Curtain Club closed down too, but The Door closed down recently. Like terrible things for the scene. But back then, like there were so many concert photographers, there were so many bands. Like, and I told Hunter, I was like, dude, what if I bought a camera and like just came and shot your band? And he was like, ah, dude, you know how many people like ask me if they can shoot my band whenever they have a camera, like da 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 da. And I was really like, it really bummed me out. But in talking to him about it, it's like so many people say they're gonna do things and then don't do it. And so it's
Yeah.
like, hey, stop talking about it. Actually, just do it. Like, be about it. Don't talk about being about it. And so, just over the next few years, like, I didn't buy a camera, but I was watching like Peter McKinnon on YouTube, learning how to use a camera that I didn't have. And I was in a very, very toxic relationship for about 4.5 years. But towards the end of that relationship, I finally was able to get a camera, and I shot this band called The Important Reasons. They're from Dallas. Hunter was their bass player for a bit. Hunter's really kind of like, without Hunter, I wouldn't be anywhere that I am today in the scene. And so Hunter helped me get them, and just shooting shows was kind of my escape from the toxic life that I was in outside of shows. And then me and that person ended up breaking up, and I just dumped a whole lot of money into camera equipment and a nice PC, and I've just been going at it ever since. So about 2 years super active, but about 3 or 4 years total.
That's sweet, dude. Yeah, I always like try and tell people to follow their dreams because it's like it doesn't matter what you do with your life, but this is what my uncle told me, and I actually firmly believe by this. He's like, it doesn't matter how much money you have or how little money you have, how many bills you have, what's not paid off, what is paid off. You're gonna have one bill no matter what for the rest of your life, and that bill is you. What makes you happy? You know, it's like what are you gonna put time and effort to after your 9 to 5 or whatever or part time job or whatever you do to get by. What are you gonna do to create that little fulfillment that you need to maintain, positive mental health, right? So
Yeah,
for me, that's podcasting or gaming. That's I've honestly just been working in gaming this whole like winter break, but gonna go back into the next semester, hopefully cranking these podcasts out like nothing else. But no, I
good
think
man.
I love seeing people with a passion. That's really what this podcast is kind of turning into. At first, it was like, I in high school, like I was telling a lot of the podcast guests, excuse me, I wanted to be, I saw Motley Crue live. I'm like, Mick Mars is the fucking man, dude. Like, dude's like hunched over because he has a health condition called ankylosing spondylitis. So it fuses like the vertebrae in your back to like look something like that. So that's why he's hunched over all the time. He can't help it, but he's still ripping on that guitar, man. He created Dr. Feelgood, Girls, 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 Kicks from My Heart, all this stuff that's still played on like TV ads today is
Yeah.
it's like I want to wow the crowd like that. And then for his guitar solo, he's like he just I swear his pedal board, he has probably 20 flangers on there, it feels like, and
God.
he turns them all on, and he's just playing chromatic for like 10-15 minutes, and the crowd's just like, woo, yeah. It's like he's not following theory, he doesn't care, he's just like,
Dude,
this is
yeah,
just a wall of
exactly.
sound.
Man, I I was never so I was in band for like a couple years in school. I played the tuba, and that was always a funny thing because I'm like, I'm a 5'8", 130-pound dude. So you can imagine how small I was in school
Yeah, he's got a big
playing a
old
giant
tuba.
tuba. But
Yeah,
dude, so many people like focus on what other musicians are gonna think of them, and it's like, nah, man, they're not the ones that are gonna be going to your shows, moshing at your shows. Like, not everybody in the crowd's gonna be some like Berkeley level musician.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
make music that you enjoy. I love like if somebody wants to put out an album that's nothing but a breakdown, like an Amir type record, I will eat it up.
yeah.
I don't
Oh
care
yeah.
how intricate it is. Like I'm just there for the feeling.
Yeah, like you have your Tim Hensons, your Chicas, your Tosin Abasi's, your Jimi Hendrixes. But it's like I like finding guitarists and be like, I if I just had my Spotify library on shuffle and I can say, oh, this is so and so without looking at the song, I like that. I
Yeah,
love that. That I can just listen to the tone, be like, oh, this is so and so. Like Tom Morello, he has his foot pedals and he has like the effects like written in like a Sharpie on it. Like he just throws a piece of duct tape on it and writes down on the duct tape, be like, okay, here's the settings for this, here's the settings for that. I love that. Like he found a tone, he sticks with it with every song.
yeah,
So it's
exactly. And
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with that because at the end of the day, like some of these, like I don't know, I just discography wise, you got to think a band puts out a 10-song record every 2 to 3 years.
yeah.
So they really only have like a 40-song catalog. Like, does every song have to be completely different?
No, because yeah, it's like
Yeah, like
if you find a band like be like, oh, I really like Saints Can Lie for Hate or Preserve or Afraid, and actually I would say Saints Can Lie, the recent songs are very consistent with similar sound.
oh,
Their
dude,
Trial and
this
Tribulation album is a totally different sound, but Dear John, I love that song. I would not. I told all of them, like, I would not be disappointed if you released another Dear John. I think that's a great song.
I
But
am very very candid with the Saints Can Lie guys. Dear John is one of the only songs from that record that I actually like will listen to just
that's
because of
I'm the same
everything.
way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but their new man, I've been there since they were recording in one of Hunter's like old apartments. Their new stuff is I'm so glad they're finally starting to pump out stuff.
yeah. Then yeah, because I think I was talking to them. And they do at least the stuff that's out now. Not what you know, but their stuff that's out now is Drop C on the guitar. Is what I
Oh
was
yeah.
told. But then I heard Hunter. This is just what I heard from the podcast. I'm not trying to divulge anything else or get you to say anything else because I don't want to hear from you.
This is all
If
a
they're
root
yeah
news.
yeah
You
yeah
want me
this
you
is
want my Saints Can Lie
yeah
knowledge.
yeah I'm not trying to just siphon information out of you. That's not what this is. But I heard that Hunter has been messing with like lower tuning and stuff, which I think is sick because. But then the saying goes like Dave Mustaine, the Megadeth guitarist and vocalist, well, rhythm guitarist and vocalist, he's like, oh, all these modern metal bands, all they need to do is tune down. They think that's heavy. It's like, well, I mean, it just opens up a wider variety
It
of
is heavy, Dave
music.
Mustaine.
Yeah,
It is.
it's like so. I wonder what he thinks about 7 and 8 string or 9 string guitars. Is like, has he heard of Rings of Saturn? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like and oh gosh, what's that show? Oh my god, with Frankie Muniz. I think it was Frankie Muniz. And oh my god, what is the name of that
Is it a
show?
show? Is it a YouTube
It's
series?
a show. It's an old show. It was called like The Middle or something. I don't think it was Frankie Muniz. But
I can't think of it.
there is a clip of his little brother and he was like, "The future is now, old man."
Oh yeah. I know the little soundbite you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's I watched that Dave Mustaine interview and I was like, "No, man, you like come on.
Yeah.
I don't like gatekeeping."
Yeah, I don't I think gatekeeping is easy to get lost in, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion, as
Hmm.
long as you're not forcing other people's opinions down in the dirt. Like, oh, I'm mightier than you because I like Polyphia and I know the tunings they use, and I can be the next Tim Henson. It's like,
That's the worst
sure,
thing
yeah,
about being
yeah,
a metal fan is just
yeah,
even in photography, I've run into quite a few people that like gatekeep information, and it's like, look, man, you yourself already have like tens of thousands of followers. You're touring with all the biggest and baddest bands. Like, I understand you don't tell everybody exactly how you do something. No, you don't want to do that because that's your style.
yeah,
But some people will gatekeep the most basic information, and it's like, no, the photography market isn't oversaturated. Like, we all need to help each other. Like, why not build
yeah.
each other up? That's what I love about the people I surround myself with, photography wise, is like I love hyping up people.
Is there anyone you want to shout out? Speaking of them,
Let's see. Oh man, if I don't shout out some people, they might get a little mad. David Parada for sure. He is probably the best Dallas photographer. Like that dude made a video for Slaughter to Prevail recently,
that's sick.
and
That's
that
a
was
big
a
one.
sick video. Dude, that guy's amazing. Who else? Um, my buddy Scott. I don't know his. I think his Instagram is like Deadbeat Scott. I met him at So What. Super cool dude. Amazing photographer. James Kaufman. James Kaufman. Justin Rose. Those two guys do double exposure photography and they kill it.
What's double exposure?
So it's whenever you put like a picture on top of a picture.
Oh, okay, and you kind of like blend
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and they
Okay,
are there are some people that try that and they just throw like 10 pictures on top of each other and it's like that's okay. But then the way they do it, they just do it so beautifully.
yeah,
You know the yodeling guy,
yay,
the meme
yep,
video.
yep.
They make pictures like that, and it just looks so good.
That is neat.
Yeah.
I like that. So, what is there anyone in particular that got you inspired in photography, or was it just an interest, the passion itself? And like, oh, I saw this really cool collection of pictures from A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever. Or is it one specific photographer that you're like, I want to do what he's doing or she's doing?
Well, it was really at the beginning because I've wanted to get into photography since about 2015, but I only got in it about 2019, 2018, 2019. Actually, it was 2019. Yeah, it was right before COVID. So, it was really just like through high school, I was part of the news class, so I was like writing little skits down, filming skits, doing news stuff. Not really diving into it was more videography. Like that's what my passion was, and still kind of is videography. But I never found a way to connect my love for music and my love for media, which is funny because I don't really watch movies, but I love cinematography. And so what happened was I realized that like you know how there's like sometimes our parents will tell us that we're just kind of good at everything and it makes us not want to be great at anything because
Yeah,
they keep just telling us we're good and then like they don't because I mean whenever you're a kid you don't have money of your own and my family came up in a very rough spot so they couldn't afford to give me like guitar lessons or drum lessons so I had a guitar and a drum set as a kid like tried to teach myself it all that stuff and I just realized that it wasn't my thing like I wasn't going to be in a band and I was like okay well how do I stay involved in the music scene and so finally, I just was like, photography, duh. I know how to do this. Like, it just kind of comes naturally. And so I just bridged my two loves together, and here I am shooting like my favorite bands of all time.
so that kind of goes along with the saying. Was it adapt, improvise, and overcome? Is that the? I think
Oh,
that's yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep.
So yeah,
Dude,
so
that's
it's
what's going
like
on with the algorithms right now with Reels.
yeah, so yeah, dude, that's the thing with social media. It's like as it's like I have like almost like zero. Well, I wouldn't say zero. I have a few followers. I'm very appreciative of them, and a lot of them are like friends and family and stuff. But for those that aren't, it's like I appreciate all those guys. And it's like, what's crazy is even being as small as I am. So the band I mentioned, the home team, they're like my fifth episode, and when I was reaching out to them, I only had like one or two episodes out. Saints Can Lie, and then a metalcore band or new metal from Jacksonville, Tennessee, Artifice, and I reached out to the home team, and these guys are actually they have done work with. I don't know if you know the names Jared Dines and Austin Dickey on YouTube, but they're like very
Oh
good.
yeah.
Yeah, they're very like they're like that with them. And
Oh yeah, because they're from Washington.
yeah, I don't know if you remember Jared Dines' old series, the Brotherhood series, where it's a collection
Yes.
of yep. So the home team's vocalist, Brian, I want to say Brian Butcher. I know his first name is Brian, but he was a clean vocalist for the
Mm.
Brotherhood series.
Dude, I
And
remember that series.
yeah. My favorite guy was Zesty Sam's. I'm like, dude, if I can get Zesty on
Dude,
this podcast, I'd freak out.
yes. Zesty had the greatest voice on that entire
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
I remember, and I followed him for so long, and he was in a band, but then like not in a band. I don't know if he's in a
Yeah.
band anymore.
I don't
But that
think
dude-
he is, but he has amazing vocals.
I love his
Amazing.
style.
Yeah. But then the home team's bassist, Ryan Olson, used to be in For the Likes You with Austin Austin
okay.
Dickey. Yeah. So
Dude,
that's
Saints opened
yeah.
for Rest Repose back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's yeah. Well, actually, yeah, they were telling me they got to meet Jared Dines and everything.
Yeah.
That's
They played
dude.
Austin at Smash.
Really? That's sick, dude. That's because like, when was that? That was probably like 2016, 2017.
Probably like 16 or 17, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was when Trial and Tribulation just came out. So that's probably what got them on the track for them coming through. God, that's crazy. Because with who was in Rest and Repose?
Rest Repose was Jared Dines, Ryan Fluff, and then
Was Tony in there?
I don't. But I
know
will say
it was Fluff and
I didn't
Jared at least.
I didn't really like mess with Rest Repose that much. Like their music wasn't my particular
Yeah.
style. But then Jared left, and then they became Dragged Under, and then I was like,
Dragged Under.
now I
yeah,
love
yeah.
these guys.
Drag-
I
yeah, it was a
photos
little
of them
heavier.
earlier this year, and I love their song Hypochondriac.
Yeah, I know they kind of rebranded Dragged Under. I listened to like one or two songs. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But then I don't know. I just started listening to other things. Like around 2018 is when Monuments put out their Phronesis album. So like I'm very much into like prog metal as much as I can't play it. I tried to, and so like I've only done like one or two Monuments covers, but just like stuff that has just weird timing. I don't know if you know. Do you know Monuments?
Oh yeah, I know that
Yeah.
Andy Cizik is in them.
Yeah.
Is with them now.
Yeah, I actually got a picture with them when I went to go see them live. That was a sick concert. That tour was freaking crazy. So I didn't know what to expect. So they went on tour with Asenger and Sammy Bowler. Sammy Bowler is from Michigan, and Asenger, I couldn't tell you. I wasn't too much into Asenger just because it was the whole tour was a roller coaster of genres. So Sammy Bowler opened up for them. I think, yeah, Sammy, then a singer of the minds. Sammy Bowler was kind of like a spiritual rock guitarist that just kind of did some like soloing, shred, medley stuff on the guitar. Like he's crazy. And I don't know if you've ever seen this, but he has a Floyd Rose Gibson.
Oh geez, what?
Yeah, dude, it's so sick. It's so sick. So I saw that. I'm like, dude, this guy is playing a Gibson with a Floyd Rose. I can't remember what thing he told me. He like, it was a specific
That's
model.
the system.
Yeah, he's just like, it was like, no, it was actually like a Gibson model guitar that had stock Floyd Rose. I'm 90% sure on that, but I've never seen a guitar like that.
Is that their recent U.S. tour that they did, Monument?
Yep.
I think that's the tour that their tour driver caught a stray bullet to the leg.
Yeah,
here
in
Dallas.
Texas. Yeah,
In Dallas. Yep, in Deep
Yeah.
Ellum. Good old Deep Ellum.
yeah, that's really tough, man. Yeah, but no, it was super 60 in Monuments live. But yeah, no, having Sammy on, he was super cool. But yeah, so Sammy was spiritual rock guitarist, and Asenger was kind of like an EDM solo one-man band type of guy. So like he would have like synth sound effects on top of his guitar, and so he'd just be playing like some synthy stuff on his guitar live and doing like a launch pad type jig
Dude,
with his
I
hand.
love shows like that. I
Yeah.
love mixed genre shows.
Yeah. Speaking of which, who? Okay, so in a mixed genre concert, I ask this for every guest I have on. Who would you want to see? So it's basically probably like your top 10 artists or
Well,
whatever.
man, so that's kind of hard because one of them would have been Knocked Loose and Movements because they're like they've always been tight, but they
Yeah,
already toured together. I mean, as far as like my top 10 goes, oh my gosh, I was actually just talking to Hunter about this a couple weeks ago. Hold on, I have my top 10.
you have your top 10.
I have my top 10 written
We,
down.
we need the me and the guests need, or me and the viewers need to know. That's what needs to happen here.
Oh, okay, so this is my top 10 albums of all time.
Okay.
So, album wise, number one, Meteora, Linkin Park.
Okay.
There, I said it. Meteor is better than Hybrid Theory, just by a little bit.
Tell me if I'm not too familiar with Linkin Park. I know like a lot of their popular songs, but tell me a popular song that was on that album.
So Meteora, I mean, it has Faint. Oh gosh, now that I'm being recorded, I completely blank. It starts with Forward, which is the intro track. Then it goes into Don't Stay. Then Somewhere I Don't Stay is good. It's a really good intro track. Somewhere I Belong. It has Faint.
Okay, I know
It has
Somewhere Where I
Free
Belong.
Inside. Yeah, it has
Yeah.
like it's so weird because Hybrid Theory came out and completely just skyrocketed them. And most bands that have that big of a debut album, like with how big that album was, normally everything after that doesn't reach that status. But Meteora outsold Hybrid Theory. And so it was always this thing of like those two albums, and then people throw in Minutes to Midnight as well. Like those are the three core Linkin Park albums. That was before they really changed styles. But Linkin Park has been my favorite band since I was like
Yeah.
6. That was my gateway into heavy music.
Yeah, what I like about these bands that are like really big names, it's like sure I don't listen to them a whole lot, but what I like about them is they bring spotlight into the metal community, so it helps these other bands get to tour in more areas, more like secluded, so it's not just Chicago, New York, California, stuff like that. So, you're infiltrating into smaller cities because being in Iowa, who's Iowa? It's like that's the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere. It's
I mean,
so
you guys have Slipknot.
the one band. You guys have Fit for a King, Polyphia, and probably tons of others from Texas.
Pantera.
Yeah, I should have
Pantera's
knew
from
that.
Dallas.
Yeah, I should have knew that. Just watching Dimebag and listening to him talk, 100% Texas. What a crazy guitarist, though. I would say I don't know, for 80s metal like that, I would say he's my favorite guitarist, honestly.
Dude, I'm gonna be completely honest. I like the song Walk, but I don't really listen to a lot of old music. Like I'm
What about
definitely
Floods?
a modern person.
Flood or Cowboys?
Cowboys from
Cowboys
Hell.
from Hell, yeah.
I mean, I know Cowboys from Hell.
That's a
Those are
sick
the only
song.
two songs. Walk and Cowboys from Hell are the only songs I know. I don't
Yeah.
know, man. I just like I tried to get in. I mean, I like some Metallica, obviously,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I'm just not a big classical like classics kind of guy.
Is it the vocal style that throws you off?
Honestly, I think it's just I think it's just the lack of breakdown.
I do not blame you because I'm kind of the same way. So it's like Metallica. I understand they're kind of the godfathers of metal, or at least hard rock. But
Their riffs are god tier. Their new song,
yeah.
such a good riff.
Oh yeah, the guitar in it is great. But this is just me being a little turd right now. I like it. I like the guitar, but that's about it. It's like I don't know.
And that's the thing, like with a lot of classic, and that's the thing about a lot of classics is like
Yeah.
people. I don't know. I'm not shitting on it in any way.
No,
I
it's just
respect
personal
the hell out of
preference.
it.
Yeah.
But it's just like the vocal style isn't for me. Like I'm not super big on the like power metal super,
Yeah.
which is weird because I guess they sing high and metalcore vocalists, post-hardcore
Yeah.
growing up with Under Oath and all that stuff, they sing whiny. But
Yeah.
just I don't know, it was just never my thing.